Great. So thanks, Abby, and good afternoon, everyone. It's a real delight to welcome you all here today to Manchester and to Old Granada Studios. Today we are here to debate and discuss how the wider cultural sector across the north of England can take full advantage of the opportunities presented by the Northern Powerhouse and by Devolution, in order that our ecology can really benefit for the long term. I hope you find the day useful and stimulating. So, as Abby said, the relevance of this venue and the site, St John's the site is called, to today's discussion. What is it? So St John's will be a new neighbourhood for Manchester. It's being developed by Ally London and Manchester City Council, and it will build on the heritage of what was once the most important and culturally rich independent production studios in the world, Granada TV. And whilst the site is for mixed use, at its heart is the vision that it should be a place of innovation and creative and cultural enterprise. The factory will indeed sit at the heart of the site, designed by leading architectural practice OMA and Rem Koolhaas, and it'll be a new kind of large-scale venue, which we haven't got in this country, that will combine the creative vision of Manchester International Festival with partnerships, production capacity and technical sophistication to present large-scale contemporary work all around a year. And it's due to open at the end of 2019. The great thing about the factory will be its ability to both show and create large-scale work at the same time. And it's going to be enormously flexible with a 5,000 capacity warehouse space and an 1,800 theatre space, but both of which can be separated off with a great acoustic separation. So it'll be as much a laboratory as a showcase, as much a training ground as a destination, and the ambition is for artists and companies across the globe, as well as from Manchester, the North and the rest of the UK, to see it as a place they can make fantastic work on large scale. And I guess the importance of factory to our conversations today is because it's an example of recent government investment in a number of high-profile capital projects and events in the north of England, which come under the banner of the Northern Powerhouse. The Northern Powerhouse, as most of you will know, is the idea that the northern cities, through greater connectivity and collaboration, can become an economic and cultural counterpoint to London, rebalancing the economy between the south and the north. And Leeds, Liverpool, Manchester, Newcastle and Sheffield have all signed up to work together to realise this ambition. Skills, transport and enterprise are seen as the vital areas for collaboration to make this happen. And in the cultural sphere, Manchester's ambition is that the factory, based on this site, will spearhead economic and social change by driving economic growth through the clustering of creative industries, digital and HE partners. And that through this it can promote cultural innovation, skills development and talent retention right the way across the Northern Powerhouse. There's still a lot of scepticism out there in the ether about whether Northern Powerhouse is more than just a brand or a concept at the moment, and hopefully that's one of the areas we can explore today. The other big game changer for all of us in the north of England is devolution, which in its essence gives city regions more control over their affairs and also will help to develop the vision of the Northern Powerhouse. Manchester is the first city set to benefit from extra powers, with plans for a directly elected mayor happening next year in 2017. Other cities will follow soon after Manchester. Powers and, more importantly, budgets already devolved to Greater Manchester are health and social care, and due to come on stream next year, there is more control over local transport and long-term government investment to improve transport networks across the north, planning powers, money for new housing, extra funding to get people back into work, incentives to skill providers for more work-based training, extra budget to support and develop local businesses. So our challenge today is about sharing information and thinking at national and at city levels to help us work out how as a sector we can take full advantage of all these changes that are happening around us and start not only to be beneficiaries of that change, but also, if we can, to be co-authors of that change. The primary aim of today is to create a space for discussion and debate, and hopefully some of that will be challenging and at times awkward, but it's really vital to our future. What do we know so far? How do we get to where we want to be so we are responding to these changes in a way that strengthens the ecology, the whole complex ecology and all its myriad of parts? So, the format for today. We've got two panels. The first panel will focus on the Northern Powerhouse and the national picture. What are the key place-based policies evolving? What are the key issues and tensions for northern cities and city regions? How can funders, investors and policymakers invest better and differently to make the most of these opportunities facing us? How do they see the North's relationship developing nationally and internationally? Are there research gaps in our knowledge? And what's the role of our universities, nationally and regionally, in helping us to fill those knowledge gaps? The second panel is more city representative and an opportunity to hear different positions on devolution and the Northern Powerhouse from this perspective, and to promote debate about connectivity versus competition, which we often find ourselves in. How will local culture and creativity be managed under devolution? What new cultural strategies are emerging? What will be the role of arts and cultural commissioning? Can the ecology across the North work together to take full advantage of the benefits? How do city regions ensure cultural policies which invest in communities as well as in buildings? How do we share models of devolution so we're not repeating the same things 30 miles down the road from each other? What are the research priorities for different areas? And finally, for me, how will cultural ecologists work together and what happens to the spaces in between? Are there parts that will simply miss out because they're not included in the conversation? In the middle of those two panels, we'll hear from a number of case studies combining academic research with creative partners, looking at social and economic issues that may or may not be exacerbated by what's happening. But first, we have our keynote speech, The Future for Manchester's Arts and Culture. So can I welcome Maria Balshaw, Director of Manchester Art Gallery and the Whitworth, and Director of Culture for Manchester City Council. Welcome, Maria.